The word legend is used far too often if you ask me, but for today's car I think it's very much appropriate. That's because I'm driving the iconic Peugeot 205 GTi Dimma. But what is this slice of hot hatch nostalgia like? Well, there's one way to find out. Go for a drive. Now I know some of you aren't keen on my driving gloves, but this car is definitely worthy of them, so slip them on and turn the key. Now for those of you that have been somehow living under a rock and you don't know what this car is, firstly, where on earth have you been? And secondly, this is arguably one of the most iconic hot hatches there has ever been, the Peugeot 205 GTi. It came from a time when synthesizers were all the rage, big hair, bright colours and some questionable fashion styles. A time which of course was the 1980s. More specifically, the Peugeot 205 GTi hit the scene in 1984 and was introduced with a 1.6 litre petrol engine. It kicked out 104 brake horsepower, but over time it grew to a power output of 115 brake horsepower. However, the car I'm in is one of the 1.9 litre models, which offers around 130 brake horsepower. Oh, speaking of brakes, they're not quite what they used to be. So the car I'm in is a D-Reg, meaning, I can't get it in second gear, meaning it was built in 1986. And as such, there's not a lot of creature comforts in here. Yes, I have got a stereo and a clock, and in truth, that's about it. I've got keep fit windows, I've also got keep fit steering, so I've got no power steering, no electric windows, but you know what, it doesn't matter. This car isn't about offering convenience, it's all about pure driving thrills, and the 205 GTi has been praised so much for those qualities, driving joy and lovely balance. Now in regards to performance stats, even though this car is over 30 years old, oh squirrel, almost ran over a squirrel, don't worry I didn't hit it. So although this car is over 30 years old, the performance stats aren't too bad. So you'd hit 62 miles per hour in around 7.8 seconds and continue to a top speed of 127 miles per hour. And in truth, that's not too far behind today's hot hatches. But unlike today's hot hatches, this is a car you really need to think about when you're driving. The brakes aren't as good, the gear changes are a tad notchy, but you know what, I don't care because I've got an open stretch of road and I've got a lovely loud exhaust. Now this isn't just any 205 GTi, this is a 205 GTi Dimma, meaning that you get this lovely wide body kit which makes the car look even more aggressive and even more in your face. It looks like it's asking you out for a fight. You want some? Do you? Do you? Third. Steering wheel starting to shake. This car feels alive. It's got character. It's so analog. The Apologies if I'm shouting, it is rather noisy in here, but it's a glorious noise. I don't mean to use old cliches, but this car really does feel like a little go-kart. You can throw it about. Right, time to turn it around. Last time I did this, I stalled about a million times. So far, so good. I'm starting to sweat. Can I do a 3-point turn without stalling? Bit too many revs, and now a bit too few. If you want to keep fit, buy a 205 GTi. Top tip for you. And back in that power. So let me talk you more about how the car drives. Well, the throttle response is fantastic. All you need to do is give the throttle a little tap and away you go. And you get a lovely noise. It sounds fantastic. The steering has got plenty of feedback. As I've mentioned, there's no power steering. Now, despite its aggressive looks, this car is pretty comfortable. The roads around here are pretty shocking, but even so, okay, the ride has of course got a firm edge to it, but it's not too bad. Yes, there are a few rattles. Come on, this car is pretty old. It's older than me. It's also older than my passenger. Not by too much, but it is older. So of course you will expect a few rattles. But you know what? I really couldn't give a toss. Any decent hot hatch needs to have good handling, and of course the GTi has it in spades. Even though this car is a bit of an old age pensioner now, it's still as good as it ever was. It's quite flat through the corners, there's good communication, you can really feel what the car is doing, and that's exactly what you need in a car like this. So whilst I'm cruising on a boring dual carriageway, let me talk to you about the gear change. Now, it's an old car, so you do get this comically tall gear lever, and the gear throws do feel rather long, if I'm going to be honest. They're still quite sweet, although second gear can be a little bit notchy, but it's still quite a snappy gearbox. This car is so cool. Sometimes pictures are better than words, and I think this moment demonstrates that. This car for me is a hero. It's such an icon, and I've got nothing but respect for this car and plenty of love. Although I do need to open this window. Wow, what an experience. Raw, thrilling and intoxicating. Everything a hot hatch should be. And it's little wonder why the 205 GTi is deemed as one of the hot hatch legends. I'm so grateful to have been able to spend some time with it today. And this is all thanks to Hot Hatch Hire. So if you want to hire this very car, good news, you can. So it's £295 for 48 hours. If you want it for longer, you will have to inquire. All of their details are in the video description below. But a massive thank you to Hot Hatch Hire. Those guys are legends. And a massive thanks to you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a massive thumbs up. Don't forget to click that bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. And if you haven't done already, don't forget to subscribe for more car obsession.